Clippers take a 2-1 lead against the Dallas Mavericks. One of the key things to note is Luka Doncic has a high ankle sprain, waiting on the MRI. One of the key things that I think separates the regular players from the stars is that star is going to come through and he's going to consistently play and he's going to say, look, we're not losing this game. And that's what Kawhi Leonard did. He showed that. He was playing outstanding. He had like 38 points, I believe 6 rebounds, 9 assists, or 9 rebounds and 6 assists. But he filled up the stat sheet. He played great defense. He made great plays. And that was essentially the difference in that game. I know Luka got hurt, but every time Dallas went on a run or they seemed to even it up, they gave the ball Kawhi. Or then you got to remember Shamet had a nice game as well. The stars always come through and they boost that morale. One of the key things that I'm worried about the Clippers, and especially moving forward, is this. Paul George might really be injured. He might be injured. If you compare it to the Dallas Mavericks, for example, if Dallas Mavericks lose this series, Luka's injured or he can't play the rest of the series, it's fine. You have future series you could bank on. Luka has showed you we can get to the playoffs and I could play really well in the playoffs. That's not the problem. With Paul George, that's a big problem. Because Kawhi Leonard recruited him there to the Clippers in order to definitely be that Robin to his Batman. So if he doesn't have a partner in crime, all the scoring load of responsibility and defensive responsibility is going to be on his back. And if you think about that, that really could be a detriment to the Clippers. Even though they got all these players and things like that, when you have the 1-2 punch, that makes the key cog roll. So I feel like that's hurtful in itself. And I don't think it's a shooting slump, because even if you're in a shooting slump, you can get to the line. Game 2, he had 14 points. Game 3, I think he had like 11 points. To me, that's more than a shooting slump. I mean, you could get to the line, you could score in other ways. 14, 11 points, that's not good enough. Paul George said something to me which is kind of funny and ridiculous at the same time.
Well, you can't be calling yourself playoff P and lose all the time. You don't see me walking around saying, hey, I won the championship and I didn't win it.
They don't call you championship Chuck?
They don't call me championship Chuck. Championship Chuck.
He said, I'm no Harden. So he said, my skill set is more than just scoring. Dog, you're a star player. If you can't get me at least 17, 15 points or better, even on your worst night, we have a problem there. You know, I understand he rebounds or whatever, but, you know, throwing a shot at Harden is not going to help make your case any better, because even when Harden was struggling the other night, he had 20-something points. He had like a bunch of assists. Games where Harden struggles, he's still dropping 20 to 30 points. And he's getting you in his assist bag. He actually leads the bubble in steals. So when you're throwing a shot at Harden, somebody who's actually playing better than you, you look silly. So I think Paul George needs to stop lashing out and really address the issues what he's dealing with. Lakers, Portland Trailblazers series is evened up. And, you know, people felt a lot of comfort in the way that the Lakers won game 2. They came through. They, beat them about 30 plus or whatever. Hey, that was just one game. I know Dame got hurt or whatever the case is. And Dame didn't really get a chance to get off. If Terry Stotts can figure out this is what Terry Stotts needs to figure out. Stop letting Dame bring the basketball up. The Golden State Warriors were infamous for this. After a while, if their teams were keying in on Curry, they'll just let Draymond Green bring the ball up, Klay Thompson bring the ball up, Kevin Durant bring the ball up. Let somebody else bring the ball up. This way, they can't double him from the top. Then he can come off screens, come off picks, and get into the action quicker, score, get to the basket. Terry Stotts, it's that simple. If you want to make the series more competitive and not let what the Pelicans did to Dame, what the Warriors did to Dame, because a lot of teams show them the blueprint to beat the Trailblazers. You load up on their star player. Well, how are we able to bypass that load? You allow somebody else to bring up the basketball. Then you can't guard Dame from half court when he doesn't have the ball. You be playing 5-on-4 essentially, and that right there is gonna hurt your defense. That's what they have to figure out. In terms of the Lakers, they don't need to get comfortable. They need to think of other things like, hey, what if Dame comes off the ball? We're gonna switch everything. Are we gonna double? Are we gonna strategically double? Because one of the key things that's really bothering me about the Lakers, they can't make open threes, and that is awful. That's terrible. Like you gotta make your open threes. You have to make your open threes. Point blank, period. That's it. There's no excuse for it. You have to do it. Wide open shots, you have to make them. That's just the bottom line. Lastly, I want to address one of the key things that I've been seeing a lot in the bubble is the quitality. If anybody plays Mortal Kombat, there's a thing where if you're getting whooped really bad and you lose connection or you quit, they call it quitality. Denver Nuggets down 2-1, they've been quitting. The 76ers, they quit. They got their heart ripped out of them. They're down 0-3, 3-0, they quit. If you look at the Brooklyn Nets, they just don't have enough horses or discipline. There's a big difference. Like when you look at the Nets, they're still competing down 20, 15. They'll always cut it down to 9. They'll fight. Looking at the Denver Nuggets and the amount of talent, they thought it was going to be a cakewalk with the Utah Jazz. And that is a shame because you see it. You see how guys quit in the face of adversity. And this is what I told you guys about the bubble. People were going to come in the bubble and they were going to see who really loves the game. And that's not really showing on the Denver Nuggets. It's just too many guys have the green light, not enough defensive prowess, and guys aren't hustling back. And that's a big problem for me. Hoops Junction, Hoops Meets Hoopla. Like, comment, subscribe.